Okay guys, so in previous class we talked about how Spring security comes up when you just add a library, right? So that's what we saw. We just added one library, one dependency, Spring Boot Starter Security, and this by default gives one good simple and elegant UI like this. So once you add this, Spring Boot will generate a random password for you. Once you request any endpoint or even you go for home page, Spring Boot will ask you a sign in page. So by default, the username is your user. That's always by default it's user, and password is something which you get in your console here. So once you enter it, you can now do whatever you want. So practically I was looking for this endpoint, it patient one, and I got this thing in working. Then of course there's one possibility that you want to log out as well. So you just need to write logout in your URL. Spring Boot will give you this screen which says, are you sure you want to log out? And once you click on this logout button, it will give you a new page with this URL, login question mark logout, and it says you have been signed out. So that's quite, I mean, that's the normal thing. And of course, if you give something wrong, the URL becomes login question mark error and it says bad credentials. So everything coming from the Spring Boot. And this is really good for when you are creating some UI screens, web pages by using Spring Boot. Since we are going for API, so it won't help us much. So that's why we need to go for tokens. Okay. So if we are going for tokens, so we are going to use JW tokens. That's the standard when it comes to Oauth. So we already knows what is Oauth, what is JWT, and what is Bcrypt. These are three things which we are going to combine together and get some good solutions like a token, a working token. Okay, so if we are going for JW token, so after adding Spring Boot, this security dependency, we need to add some more libraries dependencies for JWT. So again, you can either go for web and search for this. Just to save some time, I have already mentioned this thing in Notepad. So these are the things. So I copied, going here, pasted. So what I've added, JSON Web Token, JWT API, then JWT IMPL, and JWT Jackson. Jackson is for library which is used to handle your JSON data. So Jackson is the library which is integrated with JWT here. So and here you can see the version. It is same for all three libraries: 0.12.3, 12.3, and 12.3, which is compatible with Spring 3.2.2. Of course, if you change any of the version here, it will impact you long term and might be your code won't get compiled. And somehow, if your code get compiled, you might not able to run it. And if somehow even if you build it, so you might not get your token. So there are multiple scenarios which can happen if you change this version. So I'll suggest keep this version as it is. Okay, once you've done this, make sure you are loading a Maven. So it will sync up your code from local. Okay, it's done. And if we check the build, it says sync at 9:27 p.m. Okay, that's right. So first step is done. Okay, let me now done with the note these steps. So step one says add dependencies. So we will do these in steps in POM file .xml. Okay, so copying all four libraries. Copy it, paste it on this way. Let me screenshot it. Okay, four libraries and it's done. So first step is done, adding the dependencies. This is one simplest thing. Once you have versions of your libraries. Otherwise, if you're doing it by your own, so believe me, this is one of the hardest part. You cannot just build your code. Your code will start giving errors. You won't be able to sync up your project if you mess up with the versions. So it's simple. Once you have versions, if you won't have, it will give you lots of issues and warnings. Okay. So once you have library, now we need to start working with some classes. We need to create multiple classes to deal with this requirement. So for that, let's create one package config, right? So right click on the root package, go for package and type config. Okay, it's done. And first thing we are going to create service because we don't have any DAO something here. So after DAO, where we work service. So let's start with this thing. Just a second. Okay, so yeah, inside this config, let's write some code, some class first of all. So first class I'm going to create. See, there's no sequence, but I'm trying to keep my best to keep things simple and in a sequence way. So your code won't get issue. So first class we are going to create JWT service, and since it's a service, so make sure you are marking with add service generation. Okay, it's done. Now we need to do one thing. We need to create one. We call that um, mm, mm, mm. Let's keep this class here, but for now I'll just add only one line for now, because we need to work, as I said, we have to work with multiple files and they are kind of connected with each other. So because I just realized that we have to create its repository, so let's create its repository first. So I'll write two steps here. Step one, um, generate any secret key. Okay, now you will ask, okay, from where I'll get this secret key? So good thing is you can just write any random string, alphanumeric string. Yeah, it's totally up to you. And in second step, we need to create some methods. uh, in step 2 we have to create multiple methods, so I'll say methods for performing JWT token. I'll say right now operations, and as soon as we start adding methods, so we'll keep writing that. So methods for performing JWT token operations. Okay, so like I'm just giving one idea, like uh, token expiry. Okay, like um, claims who is using it. Then we can also do extract claims. So maybe these terms are new for you guys, but it's okay. Once you start using it, so you'll do it. And most importantly, generate token. Okay, so from here we will add that code with generate tokens, but not directly. We need to start working with its what do you call that, repository. So we need to create its repository first, like something we can call it uh, mm, token repository maybe. Let me just think. So there's one thing. Okay, uh, because we need to create, let me summarize here what I'm up to in next step. Not this one. Array. Okay, so in step 2, uh, create multiple JWT uh, service classes. It's not that service which you have created earlier, it's something else. Okay, service classes, like functional wise, that what kind of operation we are going to perform from these classes. Okay, so that we have to create. So let's start with this. Okay, so we have to create token repository. We have to create, of course, its model as well. We are going to create that model. Okay, guys, that model class token model, that entity, let's say. Then once we're done with this, we'll create token service. There we will write our own logic, and then we can see what else we can do. So let's start with class first, the token, and if something comes up, I'll keep adding on. Okay, so this is the first second step. We have to create certain classes related to token. Okay, so here's our um, model package. Right click, create new class. I'll say token. Okay, since it's going to be entity class, so let's save some time. I'm going to copy extra stuffs and then ID and this, right? We need this, close, and now field name. Private um, long ID. Okay, that is done. Then we'll create 2, 3 more fields. Since we are going to create a token class, so it should be met with some other class, right? Not token, sorry. It's going to be string. Let's call this token, full semicolon. Then one would be let's make it boolean type. Boolean, let's say, is logged out. Okay, so we will check whether that user is logged out or not. And here we are going to create one mapping. So with the token, because when we are discussing about token, so that should be like connected where we are going to go for it. Multiple. So it's going to be one to many, right? One user can have multiple tokens, right? So same way, this approach is going on. We will create a user class. So this is token class. Let's take some fields from here. Let's take this. Okay. So token will have, okay, let me fix this color as well. Okay, so that's the first class, and this is actually going to be multiple. And let's change the scenario or add the scenario here. We'll create one more class which will be user, and user will have some typical things, except that it will have multiple other things as well. So when I said typical, that means some regular stuff like ID, first name, last name, username, password, because we are going to create some login stuff as well. So what I'm thinking, we already know this stuff, so let's start with that first. So then we will move towards some JWT classes. So private, let's is private. So I'll keep this ID. Let's call this first name. Let me create this class and then I'll put it here. So idea is we are going to create one many to one relationship here. Okay. Now we are looking for token on the main side. So boxes. So this is this. This is here. I'll add some more functionality. And here we will see many token with one user. Okay, so now we are looking for token side. So it's going to be n multiple n, and this is going to be just one user with multiple tokens. Once token get expired, so user will get assigned new token if users login credentials are correct. So token class, we will leave this class empty for now. Let's just comment out, remove it. Now going to create one more Java class, user. Now watch it closely, because this is not going to be a regular model class. I am going to add something here, so check what I'm going to do. So initially we'll start with some basics like entity and stuff, and of course reminded me token TB. And here it's going to be user TB. Okay, so normal table, nothing special about it. Now I'm going to make it special. How? By extending one class here. Okay, sorry, not extending, implementing, because that's interface. This is user details. Now check out. I am importing one class, user details. It's coming from where? From security class. Let me import it and see. This is one other interface from Spring Boot, and it gives you multiple features. So if I check out what I'm going to do, I'll just hover the mouse and implement methods and check out the method names. authorities, password, username, is account non-expired, is account non-logged, credential non-expired, is enabled. Multiple features there. I'll say okay. I'll just keep everything here like this. So these are the default methods. We'll work on them. For now, I'm leaving it as it is. Because this is not just a regular user, we are actually working with token stuff. So not a regular user at this time. We are extending one big feature from Spring Boot. User details. Okay, time to create the basics things like this, basics things like primary key and other fields. And let's create private string. Let's add some functionality like first name or last name, something like that. Camel case, and then first name, last name, then username, and let's say password. Okay, so we have username, password, and I don't know if you noticed not. So we can also give the names as well. Okay, if you haven't, so right time to learn some new annotations from JPA or Spring Boot JPA or Hibernate. That's this add column. So right by using this, you can override the default functionality. By default, you will get this first name, but I am changing it to first underscore name. Likewise, I'll change this. It's completely optional, but I think if we are creating a project, so let's do things in a proper way. Let's make it username, and here comes the password. Okay, so these are some basic stuff, username, password, and there's a typo, username. Okay, username, password is done. Now I need to create one more class connect with this user. Why? Because user has some rules, and we are really particular about the role here. That user is just a normal user, or it has some admin access as well. So let's change this hierarchy, and I can have this structure from here. Copy it, paste it. So let's make it 12. Okay, let's remove these extra columns for increasing the readability. Okay. Okay, so we have some more fields here. Now I will create one more connection with this class, so that's going to be role and plus token as well. So at least let's connect that, what do you call it, token class here, then we'll attach role. So list, and here we will say token from our package. Make sure that you are importing from where. Token should come from your class, because if you see token, you can see multiple tokens are here. It's one is from our package, then ANTLR, Apache, Logback, YML, Apache, Spring Security, and Spring Boot auto configure. So multiple classes are the same name. So very particular. You should very particular what from which package you are importing this class. Okay, so I'm importing from my class, and let's call this tokens. Okay, this is done, and I will use one that annotation one to many, right? One user with multiple things, and here I'll say mapped by which the user, which I am going to create that site. You already know this concept. If no, check out other classes. And here let's complete this configuration. It's private um, user. So that user I have mapped used here, this user is actually coming from this one, line 18. And since it's a mapping, so I'll say many to one, because we have multiple mappings. So this, and okay, that's done, many to one. And let me add one more annotation here to make it more prominent to work. I'll say join column, which base, name. I'll say combine one relationship and use this user ID. So I know I added some more functionality from Hibernate when we work with primary keys and foreign keys. So it's simply when we say what if I want data from token table or user table. because ultimately Hibernate will create third table as well. One for token, one for user, third for token and user relationship. So from where I can get all the details. So you can say user ID. Likewise, you can understand it. So many-to one annotation is used, join column, and we are using user ID. And that's it for token class. Okay, so like can take from here. We are still in step, what was that? 2. Okay, so step 2 was creating multiple JWT service classes. Now let me rewrite it. Uh, oh, let me just remove JWT because they are not JWT, just service classes. Okay, done. Third, I'm going to paste that code. Let me take a screenshot, that will be better. Save some time. Okay, so one class is ready, the token class. Now let's deal with user class. So user is almost complete. One thing is, as mentioned, that we need to connect one more class since we already did all this one. That's why in our previous section we covered one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many. I have covered all 4 mappings in previous classes. So right now I'm not going to explain much about it. So directly going to use it here. So this is the class, and here I am going to map one more relationship, that is going to be role class. Okay, so it's going to be role. What kind of role? So for now I'll keep only 2 roles here, user and admin. Okay, that's it. So it's going to be a really simple class. Actually, not even class. Let's add some more functionality here. Not because if you just want to use user and admin, so what you can do, and you are very sure that these are always remain constant. Nobody's going to change it. Of course, these are just roles. So just use them and change the user role. Not just you are not going to change the user value or the admin value. They always remain user and it always remains admin. So if you're really sure that you are done with that and want to use something more, so what you can do, you can create enums. So I'm going to do that, new Java class, and there's option enum, and I'll just call it role. Again, it's just Java class with special functionality. And here, after writing this, you can simply write user, comma, admin. That's it. It's done. Not much to be added here. Okay. And once role is done, going back to user class, let's map it here. So I'll say private role, and again make sure that from where you are picking it. So role and done. Okay, now question is, when it comes to Spring Boot or Spring Boot JPA, because that JPA will read all this annotation, because we have marked it with marked with at entity annotation. So this is a class which is going to be mapped in database, so it has to understand all the fields. So this is id, this is string, I mean this is long, this is string, this is list, but what is this role? So we need to make sure that JP also understand the type of this thing. Role is completely alien for this code. It doesn't understand what is role here. So we have to mark that if you are using any enumeration, we are learning also one thing here, enumeration. So if you have any enum here, in short we call this enum. If you have any enum, so you can always use here enumeration annotation, enumerated. Okay, and here you need to tell the type, that what kind of value it has. So you can say that it has enum type string, this one. Why I'm saying string? Because I can see these are strings. User string, admin string. If it has some numeric value, so I'll say something else. So now JPA will understand, okay, so this role is actually a enum type. Okay. But it's not marked with any entity or something. This is not an entity class. It's just a simple enum class. But our user class is almost done. So we are done with regular fields till password. Then we have used one-to-many, which is met by user, that is list of tokens. Then we have also used enum here by using role class. We will read it as a role class. It's a Java class in a form of enum. Like interface is also Java class, but that's a functionality wise, it's an interface. This is just a regular Java class. Okay, so fields are done. Now let's have a look on these methods. So mm, one is, it says get password. So when we say get password, so what you can do, simply return that password we have used here, this password. When say get username, so simply return the username. From where these fields are coming? From here. Okay, Okay, then is account non-expired? I was thinking, should I make it true? Okay, let's make it true. Always true. Account logged, yes, true. And credential non-expired, true. And is enabled, let's make it. So by default, we are making it true. So all four Boolean values are true. Okay, looks fine to me. So we are done with user class as well. So let's take role from here. Okay, but I cannot put here that user table. Let me see if I can. But that's a big class. Mm, I'll put as a string here. Okay, I'm copying everything, going back here. Let's put it here. Okay, I'll make some font adjustment. Let's make it 10 and last font. Still not fitting up, so let's do one thing. Dark color, Control X. This becomes image, so you can always zoom it since it's going to be image. Okay, better now. Okay, so whatever code we have, so it just added here. So third image, this becomes fourth image. Still we are dealing with the classes. Code won't get functional. We need to add lots of classes here. Okay, so user has two more fields. We just added here. So let's add them. This and this. Don't need mapping here. And not even this one. Okay, so we have list of tokens, and since the role is just one, so we don't need to worry about that. But it definitely it's linked with this class. It is known as has a relationship. That's it. So the user has roles. That's how you can say has a relationship without any mapping. We don't need any mapping with it. Okay, so we are done with the basics of these classes, right? Token, user, and role. Okay, so let's start with repository class. As we know, we start with model classes, then we go for uh, DAO classes. So let's start with repository. So DAO, here we are, or repository DAO class. Just set the class. It's going to be interface. Call this token repository. Done. And this will extends. Just a second. Okay, yeah. So as we know, it always extends JPA repository. There we are. Then make sure that you are marking with repository. Then JPA repository needs two permissions. So that's going to be token, the entity class, then comma, long type. Just a second, let me just check. It's small L, yeah, capital L. Okay, it's done. So token repository done. And since we already know how JPA method works, those JPA naming convention methods. So I can create one method here. So I want to search one method by find by token. This method we will use later, but let's keep it handy and say string token, right? And as token is of string type, we'll say string, and but actually I want the whole object, so not string. I'll say optional of token type. Okay, yep, that's it. Okay, so this class is done. We have a repository class. Let me copy this as well. Classic. fifth image. Okay, so this class is also done. A simple class, right? With just simple implementation, as we have already always used. This is done. So now we need one service. So let's go for the that JWT service which we are going to create earlier. So let's do that. So now we are going back to that class which we were getting earlier. So I'm thinking since it's not going to a part of that, let's move. But still I want to make it here in config because it will play a vital role. So that's why this JWT service is here. But this class will use all the functionality of the token repository and those stuffs. Okay, so here we're not following those patterns. As I said, it's just all about conventions. What I'm saying here, if we have a doctor class, so you will create doctor service, doctor DAO, doctor DTO, doctor service IMPL, all this sum. Even if you're going for mapper, so doctor mapper stuffs, right? Now here we're changing some pattern because this class, as I said, this class will play a vital role in JWT token generation. So I won't say token service because that will be something else. Here we're dealing with JWT tokens. So instead of saying token service, we can call it JWT service. Okay, so as I already mentioned that we are going to do it in two steps. First is simply adding one secret key, and that is really simple. Let's go for it. String and write string. Oh, sorry, we already have. Let's call this secret key, right? So it's just a variable name. You can call it anything. I'm calling it secret key. And once it's done, use it here and double quotes. Now, what you can do, you can write some random numbers here, any alphanumeric numbers. Don't use special characters, just numbers and characters, anything. Okay. So some numbers. Yep, I'm typing random here, guys. Okay. Any random number you can pick, and you can see this is completely random, right? Nobody can guess it even. I just typed it by myself. So that becomes my secret key. Yes. And if you want more secure things, so you can go for website, excellent website and request for any random string of 60 length or 20 length. You can even ask for ChatGPT. So it's fine if you keep it this way. It will also work. Not a big deal. Just add random characters, a set of characters which has numbers and simply alphanumerics. So this is done. Next, we are going to use some features from token repository, as I said. So let's say token repository, and that's fine. And I won't what do you call that, auto it. Okay, we will use some what do you call service here, constructor, and from there we'll do that. So I'll say public JWT service, then use this as a argument, and then token repository. Of course this will come first because we have the same name. So this dot token repository equals the one which comes in an argument. Okay, repository. Okay, constructor is done. Now we can create multiple methods here. Okay, so some of them already mentioned here, like token expiry, claims, username extra, and other stuff. So let's create those methods. Okay, so let's start with some names. So also add some more names which is just coming to mind, like is valid. You also want to verify whether your token is still valid or not, because token get expired. Okay, they have expiry time, expiry date. So definitely you want to check whether that token is still there or not. So that's we need it. And plus one more method which is really useful, extract user name. Why we need this method? Because once you have a JWT token, you want to extract the username, the same username which we have mentioned in this class. Okay, so we need multiple methods or features or functionalities. So let's start with this method, extract name. Okay, so but for that we need extra what do you call that, claims and stuffs. So let's start with that. So let's create one method, private claims. It's from JSON Web Token library, and here you can say extract all claims. Okay, and then it needs one token because everything you are fetching from token only, string token. And then we can write some code. So let's start with JWTs, this one dot. First of all, we need a parser. Once you have parser, you can extract fields. So parser, then I'll go to and put a enter, put a dot, then we'll say verify with, we need a signing key. Okay, we need to create that as well. So verify with, and I need to create one method which says get signing key. So let's create it. Multiple methods will be private here, except one or two. So private secret key. Okay, so that you can see it's coming from where? It's coming from crypto library. There, then you can simply say get uh, signing key is better. Signing uh, sign sign in key is fine, and this method, and here I will say we need to get multiple details from data from that key which you have entered here, this secret key. So I'll say decode all that information. So I use a class decoders actually, decoders from token, then dot base64 URL dot decode, and pass that sequence. So I'll pass here my secret key which I just type randomly. Okay, by using this secret key your token will be generated. And let's convert this into a byte array, not class byte, simple byte, primitive, and I'll say key bytes. Okay, done. Once you have this information, because decode return byte array, so once you have that, you can return that. Now we use one keys key bys keys from security dot, we use one method hm. This is one encryption way which takes your key, or actually bytes, and gives you a secret key. So this actually takes one array of something and generates one key that goes here. Now I can use this method get signing key here, so it will verify. Okay, and then we go forward for next operation. Once you have key, then I want to build this operation, I mean this whole function. After that, once I have built, let's parse one more operation dot parse and find signed claims. So we need this, and I can pass token here. So we'll get that information, then dot get final payload of claims, and we need to return it. Okay, so return. So this complete method will give you a claims, you can say information about your token. Now this is done. Let's go back to our method extracting username from there. So we need to use that. Okay, so public string extract user name. Okay, what we need as a condition token. So pass the condition, pass the token, and you will get the name from there. Okay, and here we need to say return this extract all claims, or actually I need to create one more method. Yes, I need to create one more method which will create one specific details from the all claims. Okay, so let's create one more method here. So private, again it returns one generic type. I won't, because it depends upon the nature of the user, so I'll keep it generic here, generic type here, and then say extract extract claim, then it needs token, then we are going to use one JWT functionality which is function class. So I will use function class and pass my claims here, claims, and the type which is going to return type, and let's call this resolver. Okay. Oh, what's the error? Expected. Oh, oops, not these brackets, this one. Okay, now we need to extract claims from where? From all the claims because it is taking token. So we'll say extract all claims, give me the token, and it will give you claims that we already know. Claims from here, done. And once you have claim, you can get information from by using return resolver dot apply. That's one method from function interface and pass that claims here. So it will take all the claims and return the uh, actual claim we are expecting. And now I can use this method to extract username. So I'll say extract claim, pass the token, comma, and then I can say claims get me the subject. This is JavaScript functionality. So after this code, after this whole JSON uh, web token OAuth 2, all Spring security stuff is done, then we'll start learning JavaScript functionality. So this is this is from JavaScript. Okay. So I don't want to spend time here. So when time come, we will learn also these functionalities. But for now, we just use some functionality from JavaScript. So for now, just by heart it, use it as it is because these are not going to be changed. They remain as it is. So the idea was that I want to extract username. So we wrote three different or simple methods to extract because one thing you can do, you can put everything in one method. That will make more complex. So this is getting all claims. Then if you want one claim at a time, so you can use this one, and this one is just extracting username from that token. Okay, and you can see I'm getting subject. Subject means the username here. Okay, so I will explain more about it once everything is in working state. I'll show you in a debug mode. Okay, so debug will show you more, like lots of features here. Okay, so we have username here. Now let's add some more functionality like validation. Is it valid or not? So we'll use this the type of boolean and say is valid. Okay, and again it will take token as argument because token needs to be verified. And I will use user details class. Remember from Spring Boot, and I'll just say user. Body starts. So first of all, I will get the username because if you want to fetch or get something, you need to first of all verify whether that username is there or not. So I'll say extract username, pass the token there. We already have that method. That's why we created it. Now I can say string username. Okay, we have extracted the username from that token. That's what we call reusability. Okay, once you have this, now I want to check does this matches with previous one or not. Okay, so here I will write token repository. Okay, the same, and I'll say find by token. Okay, and there we will use the token here. Token goes, then I'll say let's use some Java functionality like map. Now I'm going to use a map which will read things one at a time by using this lambda expressions, and then I'll say t dot is logged out or not. Okay, and actually I want to make it reverse of it not, and if it's not, so or else, so dot or else return false. If it is there, return true, otherwise make it false. Fine, and this is goes boolean is token um, valid equals. So this section is done. I'm going in database, fetching all the details, and then mapping it here. Okay. Okay, now once we have this information, now I want to return the conditions, that what's happening, it is matching up with or not. So first of all, check if username, okay, that username which we have extracted earlier, username dot equals user, that argument dot get username. Okay, I'll put multiple condition, and first of all username should match, then is token expired. Okay, we don't have that because we need to check the token expiry as well. Okay, and let's use this is token valid. If it's happen, then return true. Or we can do one thing, instead of writing all this information, I can simply say return. Why write that much code? And done. Whatever comes up true or false, it will just return it. But we need one more token expiry information. So let's write that method as well. Then we will complete this last return statement. So we need to return write that is token expired or not. So private, then boolean is token expired, which again takes token. Then we return extract, but we need timing. We need one more method. So private check its type. So I'm not going for that. So just take date type. Okay, date from util package. Make sure that you are importing date from util only. Don't go for SQL. Let me show you. It is present in multiple libraries. So don't go for Lombok or SQL or crypto. Always import date from util packages. Okay, so we have date from uh, util. Then we'll say extract expiration. So we're talking about some date and time. This which takes string token again. Pretty simple methods to get all the information. So token, then here, I just token, give a body and return mm, extract claim. I can use extract claim here. So it needs token, comma, then we use claims. Again, if I want to call or fetch any method, I can simply say get expiration. So this syntax you can read it as, let's suppose this method is static. So if think about, if any method is static, I can say class name dot get method name. So that's how static method works. This is kind of similar functionality where I'm writing class name, then instead of using dot, this is for operator, okay, and then the method get expiration. But you don't have to write method signature. No, it's not required. Just the method name is fine. So it will give you a expiry date, whether it is expired or not. Now I can use that expiration here. So extract expiration, pass the token, then we need to check before. So because it's a date type, so we have a method before, and before will take new object. So if it is before that time, so that means it is expired. Before will have today's date, this will have old date. So if date is before that due date, so that will return boolean value. So that's how it works. And now I can use this here, and is token expired with that token. Okay, so this is also done. So is valid method is completed, and which checks username the token from database and plus the actual date of token generation. So once these three things matches up, only then we can say yeah, token is still valid. So first we are extracting username from data token, second from database, and then third from here. Okay, this is done. Is valid is done. So I think we are almost done with all the methods. Oh, one important method is left. Generate. We need to generate it as well. Okay, so let's generate the token, the critical method, and this is going to be public method. Public. You can see most of the methods are public, private here. Some of them are public. Extract username, then is valid, and finally the our method. And token is going to be string types, generate token. Okay, then let's pass user object, our that class, model class. Okay, generate token. Okay, then we will use again that same class JWTs with capital J dot builder. Always use builder. Then after we start the operations. So first thing we need to use set subject. Set subject. Oops, why it is showing this way? Okay, we will see. And say username, user dot get username, then dot set issue at, and here I'll say new date from again util, and but I'll take util with argument which takes one time in milliseconds. So I'll say system dot current time millis. Okay, so that will give us time in milliseconds. Then set expiration. Okay, so again it will need state new date, then again it will take some argument, so I'll use system dot current milliseconds, and since I am setting here the expiration when this time get expired, so we'll add some time here like the days 24 the day, then multiply 60 and multiply 60 hour minute, and then seconds here like this way, 24 hours 60 minutes 60 seconds and 1000 milliseconds. It's done. Then I'll say okay, once we have everything to sign with, so I'll use that method get sign in key, and finally build everything. So this method is compact, and once we have everything, let's store it in a variable string, let's say call it token, and return from here. Okay, I've missed the semicolon. Return token. Okay, so our code is done. For this class we have the method which generates. So we added lots of information here. It starts with adding one secret key, then we have auto-wired repository to verify whether token is valid or not, and one constructor which takes this thing and initialize it. We are not using auto wiring here, not required. It's just one more way, so I'm trying to add more functionality here. Then one method to extract the username. Then thing was we need to use this extract claims, so it gets all the information from the token that is used here to extract one claim, because one claim has multiple roles are there, so that is extracting one based on what, based on the token. The token goes here, it returns it, and finally we get the username from there. This is, we call this generics, more advanced than you can say. We have two types of generics, inbound and outbound, so that's one of the way of writing generics code, where we are not just telling the type at that moment. Okay, it's completely hidden. Once this code execute, whatever gets written, it will be stored in a T. So we're not telling that T is always boolean type, date type, object type, long, int. No, we're not telling it at upfront. Like here I'm telling its return type is secret key, this return type is boolean, this return type is string, but here we're not telling it. So that this will give us more functionality over it. Then token expiration needs multiple information like expiration, so we get that through the claims. Again, claims have everything. Once you have token, so you can get lots of information. One of the information is expiration, so we get a date, wrote some logic and use it here for validation, and finally generating the token by giving some information, because once you're giving a generic token you need to add multiple informations. So you can see I'm in subject, I'm just setting the username. So that means if give you idea about, remember we saw one JWT site. So here we have payload has subject, the name, and then issue it. So in subject we are passing what, username, name, it's just information, if you want you can have it, and then issue it. right? So we are setting the same information, subject, issue it, and the whatever payload we are passing. So we haven't passed any payload, just username we have passed. So subject and username, then expiry. So this is the information: issue at, subject. I mean the payload, the actual data, and the subject is here. Something similar is happening here at this line. Okay, so this is also done. So today we created multiple Java classes to support JWT token. Still, this code will go for long. Maybe 2 more sessions will be needed to complete this whole code. So stay with me. We'll write lots of code here. So meet you in next session. Bye bye.